familiar with cars. I didn't know how to drive. I was a zero.
You jumped into this business knowing probably close to zero knowledge about like all these automotive stuff.
Exactly.
Today we have Cordelia, director of Pitstop Tyres, also known as Tyre on TikTok. She left her job in a VC firm to help out her father's company, only to find out it was worse than she thought.
At first, I thought the company was just not making money. I didn't know that it was like dying. I realized how bad it was when a fat letter came and it said bankruptcy filing. When I got access to the bank account, there was $0 inside. So my dad was actually withholding quite a lot of information from me. The suppliers kept calling for money, customers kept calling for their goods. It was in deep shit.
Using the power of social media and content creation, she single-handedly brought the company back to life. And now, she has her sights on something much bigger.
Social media is how we kickstarted, I would say, the revival of our business. We filmed the TikTok like right there on the spot. And then that video was the best of all my videos. Then I was like, oh.
Hi guys, so welcome to another episode of our S2S podcast. Today I have with me a very interesting entrepreneur. I actually saw her back in, I believe it was 2021 on TikTok, doing content about automotive, like cars. I think I had to repair basically my car rims. So I saw her sharing about how that's actually possible. And also I think now she has grown to a lot of other content, educational content about automotive and cars as well. Right, so today I have with me Cordy from Pitstop Tyres. So Cordy, say hi.
Hi.
Yeah, tell everybody maybe like our audience a little bit about yourself, maybe your business as well. Yeah.
Sure, okay. So I'm Cordelia, as you know, but most people call me Cordy, right? So I run Pitstop Tyres. Last time, of course, we only did tyres. Then now, as I've taken over the business for about 3 years now, we've expanded it to become not only just tyres, so we also do like repair, basic wear and tear maintenance, and how I met Marc in the first place, which was to repair his rims. So those are our currently 3 main businesses: tyres, repair, and rim repair. I do a little bit of like automotive influencing. So I started the business as just like a brick and mortar, usual tire shop kind of jazz. But in order to launch that, I did a lot of TikTok. So now I think most people would know me as like an automotive content creator in Singapore, and I educate people all about like how to maintain your cars, how to check your tires, that kind of thing. So you can find me mainly on TikTok, Instagram and Facebook, but I would say that YouTube we are also starting this year.
Okay.
So we're gonna try to do more long form, I would say, this year.
Right.
Yeah.
Are you still doing? I know you at one period you were doing live
Yeah. Sometimes we also do live stream. But
streams. Yeah.
this one is the sake of my mental health, so we don't do it so often because I'm just tired.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. You were not in this all along, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us your journey. How do you transit to this business?
Well, it was quite an interesting journey, I would say. A very unexpected journey in a very typical Singaporean dream fashion. So, I did my primary, second, O-level, A-level. Then I did IB actually. But after that, I went to NUS, did very cookie cutter kind of thing. And then I graduated and I did venture cap for a while. At the time, I never thought that I would join the automotive industry. So my father had run this business for almost 12 years at that time, but I had no intention to join him, like ever. It was only until COVID hit, right? So it was only until COVID hit that the business was really suffering a lot. At that time, I didn't know the extent of how much my dad was suffering, but I would say that it was a bit of like a push and pull, because at that time, I was working in a blockchain VC. And I mean, even though it was exciting, right? It's a new technology, everyone's super hyped about it. But I think at the back of my mind, I just felt a little bit unsatisfied in a way, kind of. So this was a bit of the push factor. So I was doing VC for, at that time, a couple of years now. I was doing mainly accelerator VCs. So what that means is basically, it's not just like a venture capital. So a venture capital takes money from LPs, like investors, and then it invests that money into, let's say, a small startup. So it can go from a very small company to a very big company. My focus was very small companies, right? So early stage seed companies. I would take this money, I would give it to them for a percentage of their company. And then My particular kind of VC was accelerator VCs, meaning that we would put them through a program like, okay, how do you grow your company faster? How do you market your company? What can we do to make basically accelerate their growth so that we can make money faster, right? So that was my focus in accelerator VCs. And after doing a couple of years, I found it very fun, right? So I really enjoyed my job a lot. But it came to a point where I was a little bit, how do you say, because I was always working with very small companies, at the very beginning. So these companies would also take very, very long to get to where, the next stage. And after seeing like hundreds of these baby companies, I was like, I wanna see like a company succeed, because now I have the blueprint, right? But I wanna see like where it goes from there. So I was thinking to myself like, hey, my dad has this business. Why don't I try something? And I also knew that he was struggling, but I didn't know at that time how bad it was until I joined and I slowly unraveled it to my horror. So that's the second part of the story. But yeah, so at the time, so I was getting a little bit, I would say, restless at my old job. And for my father's side, I was thinking like, hey, since I have my own family business and I have this blueprint to startup growth, right? Not really SME at the time, but startup growth. Why don't I try that? So that's how I decided, goodbye, boss. And then I jumped over to my dad's company. So I guess that's how the journey got kick-started. Yeah.
That's very interesting. Like, I mean, we always hear that, some people don't want to work work with family because it impacts the relationship, right? How has it been like working with your dad, in the company?
Difficult, definitely difficult. I mean, there's always like conflicting opinions. Okay, like so we rewind to back when I joined the company, right? So my dad was actually withholding quite a lot of information from me. At first, I thought the company was just not doing well, right? So I just thought that the company was just not making money. I didn't know that it was like dying. I knew that he was suffering, so I knew that every month he wasn't bringing much home. So when I joined, the first few weeks were still quite okay. Then after that, I started realizing like the suppliers kept calling for money, customers kept calling for their goods. I was getting all sorts of like fine letters, like pay your taxes, pay your GST, pay your levy, pay everything, right? And then I realized that it was in deep shit, like deep. Okay, I was like cruising for a couple of weeks, right? And I realized how bad it was when a fat letter came. I still remember it was a fat stack. It was like a fat envelope. And inside was a stack of like paper. And it said bankruptcy filing. And I was like, what? Yeah, so basically someone sued him. And it was bad. And he held all of this information from me. So I was basically trying to build the company, but he was not telling me that all of this stuff was going on. I think when I wasn't in the business, he was holding it because he was scared that my mom and I would get like worried. Right. But now that I was in it, I don't know why like he just didn't want to like just tell me, and then we could work through it like together rather than me finding out and then being like, oh my god, I did not expect this, right? So not only did the bankruptcy letter come, when I got access to the bank account, there was $0 inside, like zero, like. So the checks would clear, but they couldn't clear, right? So then they would just all bounce. And then sometimes when like customers paid and money went in, the next day when the checks cleared, it would go into negative balance. And it was just terrible. So so that, I mean, when we're circling back to like, okay, was it difficult? Yes, it was difficult because in a normal corporate company, if it was going through so many problems, the moment I jumped in, I would have known. But in this sense, because so much information was withheld from me, then that was very, very difficult at the start. Because like just unraveling all of that and then slowly starting to like learn how to manage it, right? Just having two bosses, in a sense, is that it's difficult for our staff to know who to listen to. Yeah, right? So like when for example I give an instruction and then my father doesn't hear it and then he tells something else and then people just get mixed up. I mean, this also leads in a little bit into like the gender inequality kind of thing in our industry. So in automotive, I mean, it's mostly male dominated, right? So females are kind of seen. I only realized this later on. Okay, so this is something, that interesting topic that we can pick up later. females are generally seen as not knowing what to do around cars, right? So only later on I realized how much people feel like women don't know about cars.
Right. There's
Like,
there's a stigma attached,
Yeah,
or the
like there's a
stereotype.
very big stigma, and it's
Okay.
very real. So so we can dive into that a little bit like later on. But yeah, so working family, other than the information withholding, I think my dad has been quite okay. Like he's not the kind, like some people complain, right, when they jump into their parents' business, then their parents don't let them do anything. Like basically you go there, you're a figurehead, you can't do anything. You want to do something, you can't. The staff don't respect you, nothing, right? So in my case, it was okay. I feel especially because I joined the company when it was in a very, very bad place. So at that time, it was only my father, myself, my aunt, right, and one staff. So the rest were all had to be let go because the company didn't have enough money to pay them. I would say it was a little bit of a blessing in disguise now that I look back and the company was in such bad state, because then I was able to learn everything from scratch. So like when people come in and ask me stuff, it's not like I'm an office girl who doesn't know anything. No, I really been there, done that. Me, my father, and that one staff, we changed tires together, we balanced together, everything we did together in that small workshop space when we first started. So that also comes to respect. So why do my boys respect me? Because I was there with them through all that crap. Like, yeah. Oh yeah, so it was quite funny. So like when I met you back then, right? I'm not sure did I lose weight already then? Cause when I first started at Pitstop, right, I was actually a Uniqlo size L. So I was
Right.
I was quite chubby. Yeah.
Okay.
And then like what now I'm like a S or XS. yeah. Yeah. So
Okay.
that's, I don't know, some people tell me it's a benefit, but I'm just like, I suppose so. Yeah. Other than that, I think working with family has been quite okay. You kind of need to separate, like, okay, this is work stuff, this is family stuff.
Okay.
And this is a time, like, for example, dinner time at home, like, let's not talk about work stuff.
So basically, I think what you're saying is like, in
Yeah.
a way, you have to
You have to
literally
draw the
draw a line.
You have
like
to,
a very
'cause
clear line.
You have to draw a very
Okay.
clear line when you're working with family. If not, I think it gets very murky. Like if you start arguing over dinner, which we used to.
Was there a conversation to be had, like when it was in that state where you received that stack of letters saying,
Yeah.
bankruptcy and all that, right? How did the shift happen to? Because then we also went on to say there were
Yeah.
two bosses.
Yeah.
How did that change? Like, was there a process you guys went through?
I think I was quite lucky in that sense because my father acknowledged that he basically had run out of ideas. So he already reached that point where he was not so stubborn to all the new ideas. He took a step back such that I could move forward.
Okay.
Yeah, so in that sense, I was quite lucky that he did that for me. It's just having two people in charge. It's just confusing for people. But now, fortunately, company has stabilized quite a bit. And my father also has decided to just rest. So he's retired. Yay!
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow,
So,
okay.
Yeah. So he retired. So now I'm running a show. So no more two bosses thing. But at least he's
Okay.
like just relaxing now, not so stressed.
Yeah. I mean, I went to the new location, new
Yeah,
shop,
yeah.
right? Now
Yeah,
it's so
yeah,
much
yeah.
bigger. It's a whole building,
Yeah,
three
yeah,
three
yeah.
floors.
2.5.
2.5 floors.
Two and
okay.
a half, yeah.
Yeah. So so happy to hear that. Like
Thank you, thank
see
you.
you grow and evolve.
Yeah.
Right.
See me suffer, then grow, then evolve. yeah,
The
correct.
suffer part I think was only later on. So I went there as a customer,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
so I
yeah.
saw that content. I went
Yeah,
to
yeah.
you, fix my wheels. I believe it was some article or some interview that you did back then. Then I realized that wow, you actually went through so much. Yeah, it
Yeah.
wasn't just I think you call yourself Tyre right?
Yeah, on TikTok, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't this lady just doing some content educating people. Actually, I guess the next question is. Was that what kind of springboarded you to start this? Like, how do you start content? Like,
How do I start content?
why the TikTok? Was it part of the strategy? Like,
It was not part of, okay, it was part, but not really 100%, right? So I'm a little bit of an introvert. Yeah, so I'm just like a functional extrovert, but actually I'm introvert, so I don't like being on camera so much. But after a period of time, I just got used to it. But at the very start, right? I actually, coming from the VC background and everything, so I had all these startup ideas and whatnot, right? I tried to implement like a lot of tech into the company. So like having like a new POS system, having like an accounting system, blah, 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 whatever. It all failed. Like it was poor planning, poor judgment on my part, right? Because what I didn't realize is that in a tech company, you have younger people who are very tech savvy, who are very open to using new apps. But at that time, I mean, I was the youngest in my company, right, in Pitstop. And like, introducing so many new things at one go, not everybody can swallow that quickly. And not everybody has that brain space to be like, hey, let me learn something brand new, like shift my entire system that I've been using for 10 years just because you said so. At that time, I didn't realize like the operational side would be so difficult, which I'm still having problems with operations today. I'm still not done learning about that side. But in terms of marketing, why did I go down the social media route? The answer is simple, because I had no money.
Okay.
I had no money. So I had to think about like the best things that I could do without having to spend a single dollar. Right? And at that time, 3 years ago, TikTok was only like starting. Like the craze was only starting. It wasn't like full blown yet.
Just remind me, this was which year again?
Where are we now? We are now 2025.
2025.
So 3 years ago, no, that means 4 years ago already, is it?
2021, I believe.
2021.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
around there.
That was 2021.
I think it was end 2020, start of 2021. Probably 2021, yeah. So in 2021, I did make like a few TikToks and they were absolutely terrible. Like they were terrible. It was just me, right, with my Taobao tripod and like my phone on it and then just pointing towards me, like learning how to change tires. So those were terrible because at that time I didn't know how to edit, I didn't know how to like add, I just didn't know how to make it look nice, right? Yeah, so it was terrible. It was just me posting like 5-minute long videos of myself changing tires. It was bad.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Yeah, so it was bad. Like my first few videos were like 200 views, 10 views, that kind of thing.
Right.
And then one day I had like a friend come down and he was like, Cordy, why don't you just like start explaining things, like you explaining this to like me about my car and my tires, why don't you just put that on TikTok? And then I was like really camera shy at that time. I was like, no lah, people won't want to like listen to this lah, don't want. Then he's like, just try, I film for you. Never mind, I film for you. So really he took my phone, right? And we filmed the TikTok like right there and then, like on the spot. And then that video was the best of all my videos. I think at that time it did like 10 or like 20k, which was like amazing at that time to me, right? Having only had like 20 views mostly, right? Then I was like, oh. And then after that I was like, I was like, oh, okay, this is actually like a thing. Because after I posted that video, we started, like inquiries started to like stream in and people actually asking like, hey, do you have this, do you have that and whatnot. Because before that, like business was really, really bad at that time, right? So not only did we have money problems, we also had this like business coming in problems. So my dad and the rest of the staff would go to office and sleep, essentially. Like there was no business. Like there were no customers, no business. Like maybe in one day we'll have 2 cars. Like that's it. Because I mean we had the problem one of securing tires because none of our suppliers would give us tires because we had to pay for the tires, but we had no money to pay for the tires. So that was a bit of a nightmare. And then we didn't have anybody who knew where we were because at that time my father had to downsize to like a smaller shop. So we were on the like 6th floor. It was like 3rd, but it's like a fake 3rd. So like it was on a 6th floor of like a random industrial building in Tagolin. So nobody knows where that is, right? So we have 0 walk-ins. Our old customers can't find us. My dad doesn't have a website. So like, yeah. So you can imagine how that worked out. So yeah. So I would say going back to social media is how we kickstarted, I would say, the revival of our business. Although I would say I was very lucky because my timing is always very, very important when it comes to social media. And I was very lucky that my timing was right for TikTok. Now, being a new entrant into the TikTok scene is not so easy. Yeah, actually, I find it's much harder to go viral or for people to like, hey, I've seen you, because there's so many creators flocking to TikTok now. At that time, I feel like I was the only Tyre/automotive creator in Singapore, I would say. I think I was the only one of like only 5, less than that.
What was the mindset after that? Like, how do you kind of progress from there?
I told myself, hey, this is working, let's do this more. Let's do more of this, right? So I was like, hey, this is way beyond my expectations. Like, I already knew that I wanted to go into social media, but TikTok was new, you see. So I'm a little bit of a boomer. So, like, I don't use my phone even that much, right? So I was like, you know what? This is working. I need to be on this. So I started filming more videos of myself talking. So with me and my Taobao tripod, I would just tell everybody, like, okay, this is how you change brake pads. And then it'll be me, like, positioning the tripod here and there, whatever. And then just filming me doing it and me explaining and, like, talking about it. So, yeah, it all started with me. Phone, tripod, and me. Yeah, that's how it started. But I would say that sometimes people don't realize how much effort content creation is. Cause I mean I had like abysmal tools, right? I mean here like the setup's quite nice. But like
Right.
back then my phone, right, when I recorded me doing something, I would do something like, for example, brake pad change, half an hour. I wouldn't realize that my phone died because it's just filming for too long, like overheat.
Oh.
And then I have to do the whole thing over again.
Okay.
So it take me hours and hours to do that. And then hours and
Right.
hours to edit and then post. Yeah, so that was like me, like baby video creator time.
Okay.
And then another layer of difficulty at that time was I wasn't quite sure of what I was doing yet, right? So I told you I was in venture cap before this. I thought I would be like a Singaporean corporate girly all my life, you know, yoga, Pilates, all that. Yeah, it didn't work out. But I thought, right,
Okay.
I did not even have a driving license. Because I thought that I would be in Shenton Way. Why would I park? I have no money to park there, right?
Okay.
So I didn't even have a driving license when I jumped over. So I had to I really rushed out my license in 3 months kind of thing. So I booked lessons every day. So before I went to work, 8 o'clock, I'd be at my driving center doing my thing.
Right.
Yeah, so the problem was I wasn't familiar with cars. I didn't know how to drive. All I had was just my knowledge from secondary school. My father would drag me during O-level holidays, right? Drag me to the shop for free labor.
Right, help
That's
out.
all yeah.
Yeah, school
So
holidays.
I
okay.
only have kind of background knowledge from there. I remember the brands, the patterns and whatnot. But other than that, I was a zero.
Meaning you jumped into this business without having a driving license.
Correct.
Knowing probably close to zero knowledge about all these automotive stuff.
Exactly.
Okay.
If I was the perfect stereotype of a girl who didn't know about cars. My mechanic one day, he asked me, Cordy, can you help me step on the brake? And I asked him which pedal.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was zero, nothing.
Wow.
Right? And then he looked at me, he was like, are you serious? I was like, I'm serious. I'm so sorry. I do not know which pedal. I mean, now obviously I know, right?
Okay.
But
okay.
but yeah, so that was baby Cordy when I started in the business back then.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was your mindset to, because now, the business, you started in 2021.
Yeah.
Kind of, now we're 2025, it's
Yeah,
4
yeah.
years.
Yeah.
The shop has grown, business has grown, your content has also improved. I think
Yeah.
you are in the, I don't know, 100,000 of views. I don't know.
Correct.
What was your
Around there.
highest, I don't know, the video?
400K, I think.
400,000 people
Yeah,
who
around
watched
there.
this video about
Yeah.
a girl changing tires or
Yeah.
lady changing tires.
Yeah.
How do you get from that zero to where you are? What was the mindset? How do you think about it?
Or knowledge? Okay,
Yeah,
so,
knowledge. Yeah.
I mean, I am always a very strong believer of needing to know your stuff. When I first joined, I really felt like an idiot. I hated feeling like an idiot. Seriously. Because, customers would ask me questions and I wouldn't have the answers. And that would make me feel very, very bad. When I came in, I was I definitely need to pick up as much as I can, as fast as I can, right? So of course I could learn from my dad, but most of how he was teaching me was very old school. It's learn on the job kind of thing. But I didn't have enough time to be able to learn on the job like that. I needed to get my knowledge up fast. First thing I did was go online, search for courses, automotive courses. And what came up, I used my Skills Future, of course, right?
Okay.
So what came up was Ngee Poly's automotive short courses. So they actually ran courses on the weekends. Just nice, right? On Sunday.
Okay.
So they had the hybrid course, they had electronic sensor course, engine course, drivetrain or whatever. So I attended all of them. Whatever they had,
How many
I
were
went.
there?
I don't
if
know, I
you
remember 6
10,
or 7.
6, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just attended all of them.
Okay.
And that managed to get my basic knowledge up to scratch really quickly. After that, it was back to learning on the job. So after I got that, nice base from school, it continued on being learning on the job because now we have a lot of cars. So I would estimate at least 4,000 to 5,000 cars a year. Now every single car is a case study to me. My brain is an encyclopedia of what could go wrong on each car.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so at the very start, I did my foundation from Ngee Poly. I never thought I would go back to school, but I did. Yeah, so it was quite good. Need to be theoretical first. Yeah, so I got my foundation from there. And then everything else is from the shop, what we're doing every day, or from my mechanics, or from my father, that kind of thing.
How
Yeah.
big is the team now?
The team is now 11 from 4. Yeah, because we are minusing my dad now, because he's wee,
Okay.
having
Playing
fun.
golf.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
uncle's playing golf, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
How was it also?
Uh-huh.
Just now you talked about this stigma or stereotype about girls or ladies, right, understand about cars.
Yeah.
How do you get past that? Like,
Okay, so like I've talked about this once, right? So back when I first started, I actually didn't feel the stigma so much because firstly, I was in a sense the 小老板, the small boss, right? So nobody would speak rudely to the small boss.
okay.
Or like because of my father's presence or whatever, they would just not be rude to me. I only realized it recently that people actually look down on girls in this industry because I had a business partner join me, one of my best friends, she's female as well. And when she's on the ground, people just shout at her. Like, yeah, like it just didn't make any sense to
As
me.
in, shout at her, like scold
Like,
her.
no,
or
like, be
something,
like, you don't know, yeah, we had a person go up to her and like, you don't know what you're talking about. Oh my god, I was really angry because I was actually, I was out. I had some like family thing. I was out and some guy actually shouted at her.
like a customer.
Like a customer. And I was like, why? And in that same vein, right, I had a supplier also shout at her because they didn't know that she was business partner level. They thought she was employee level.
Right.
And then just because she's a girl, they wouldn't do this to any of my staff usually. They just be like, you don't know what you're talking about. You got a problem, is it? Let me talk to your boss. Kind of like, I was really upset about that. And then when I told that person, like, hey, she's like business partner level, then he was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm like, huh? Why do you need to treat somebody based on like what their level is? Why can't you just treat everybody nicely, right? So yeah, so that's the thing. I think because back to like me, right, is because most people don't talk down to me or like talk rudely to me because they come in seeing my TikTok, right? So they actually know like, hey, this girl actually knows what she's talking about. But I didn't realize that that was a privilege that was exclusive to me. So when I started talking to my other females in the automotive industry, I suddenly realized how badly they were being treated. I have another lady friend who also took over from her father and everything. She told me, the customers would refuse to talk to her. Like, they would just flat out refuse to talk to her. Or they would just pretend they cannot see her and walk past her. And then, like, for example, when she says, like, hey, this is the price, the customer will tell her, get me your boss, your manager, I want a better price. And she's like, but I'm in charge. And then they just don't believe her. Yeah, so I was very, very surprised by that. So, yes, so I hope this can change, in the future. I do feel like nowadays the younger generation is better. We only get this usually for people like a bit older school, right? But at the moment, it's still not very nice for some of my friends.
So what you just said also about the like, because you did content,
Yeah.
it helped to, I guess, beef up your authority or to tee you up so that people know that you know your stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't say I know my stuff, I like pretend that I like, it's just pretend. No, I don't pretend that I know the stuff. I actually go and learn. And in fact, like, I'm a little bit of a bookworm, so I have very fat automotive textbooks that I read like every morning before I start work. So I still do that because I just feel like I need to know. Whatever I need to know, I need to know. So like, how do I check like the wiring? How do I check the fuses? How do I diagnose what's a common symptom? What's a problem? Yeah.
So you're basically honing your craft every single day. Like you feel that's necessary.
Yeah, I do that every morning.
Okay.
Yeah, so like before I start work, then I have my honey, I drink my honey, I flip my book. Yeah, I take notes. Yeah, like, okay, if the tire pressure is like harder, it can take more weight. That kind. Yeah. Yeah, I just think it's important.
What has been the growing the company like over these 4 years?
Yeah.
What would you say is the biggest challenge you had? Like after it kind of took off, so you started getting more business.
Yeah.
Right. So now maybe the customers part or the leads part is solved. Right. So now maybe let's look at internally within the business, right?
Okay. So I would say for my business, the most difficult thing, right, was because we got viral really fast. Our operations could not keep up. So I had customers waiting like 4-5 hours for a tire change, which is ridiculous lah. It just doesn't make sense. But like I said, right, so we had supplier problems. So most of the suppliers wouldn't send us tires. And the ones that would send very slowly because they're angry with us. So they send very slowly. So people would walk in and then they'll be like, hey, do you have this tire? I was like, of course I don't have it. My inventory is empty, right? Warehouse is empty. I don't have tires. Right? So I'll be like, it's okay, I can order it. So then I pay cash. I pay cash on delivery. But it would take so long for it to come down. So customers would be waiting like 3 hours for the tire to arrive. And then after I close that deal, me, my father, and that one guy need to go and change those tires. Meaning it's going to take another hour and a half.
Right.
So they would be waiting so long for their tires to be changed, which I feel really, really, really bad about. I feel really like very bad about it. But it was something that I just couldn't fix at that time.
Yeah.
Because yes, now money is streaming in, but was my customer service absolute trash? It was absolute trash. And I acknowledge it and I'm sorry. But it's something that we are still working on. Because in Singapore especially, because in the automotive industry, we have, as with every industry, we have quotas, right? So meaning that the government restricts us on like, example, in retail sector for us, it's 2 Singaporean or PR to 1 Malaysian.
Okay, so we're talking about the manpower now. the
Manpower,
headcount,
yeah.
quota,
So
right? Okay.
even though my business, in a sense, like inflow of customers has grown exponentially, my manpower has been very limited because I'm not able to get enough Singaporean mechanics or PR, right? So we have 2 problems here. The first problem is company is not very rich, right? So my company, even though everything is much better, we are not rich because firstly I have to service all the debts that were like still outstanding and that's a lot, right? And then because it's not rich, I'm not able to hire the Singaporean mechanics who've been working for a long time because they would be demanding like 5,000, 6,000, 7,000.
Okay.
And considering per set of tires, I only earn like maybe $100. How many tires are going to change to just afford that one guy, right?
At this point, I'm just curious because usually when I go to your
Yeah,
shop or
yeah,
any other like
Yeah.
car workshop, automotive
Yeah,
workshop, generally I see a lot of non-Singaporean like technicians.
Yeah.
Are there really like Singaporean technicians around?
Very rare. Okay, so we have a little bit of talent funnel problem, I would say, because there are too many automotive shops and the funnel is too small. So the courses in Singapore that I'm aware of that have automotive are IT. So Higher NITEC has an automotive course.
Okay.
Nanyang Poly has the engineering, then under you can specialize automotive.
Okay.
But the problem is that there are over 400 workshops in Singapore. And not including workshops and tire shops and everything. So if you add together, it's hundreds and hundreds, right? The very, very good poly graduates or the IT graduates will go to big agents. So Cycle will eat them, Premium
Okay.
will eat them. Yeah,
Right.
so basically we never get to see the Singaporean talent.
These are all the authorized distributors
Yeah,
of big
so
premium,
the
big brands,
the people that
right?
sell Mercedes, the people that sell
Yes.
BMW, they will get first dips, right? So even the internship programs, they don't even want to send us interns
Okay.
because we are considered too small, right? On the Singaporean side, really very, very difficult. And if we're talking about starting salaries, honestly, it's very sad to say that the starting salaries for the automotive industry is very low. Unfortunately, the salaries are benchmarked to the Malaysians that come in. And the Malaysians that come in are willing to start 1,500, 1,400, which I think today for a young Singaporean is not workable. If you want to like save, grow a family, I think 1,500 is too little. That's very difficult for the shops because then we have to balance like cost. Like if I hire Singaporeans and we start them at let's say 2,500 or 3,000, then how do I answer to my customers when I have to increase my prices? That's
Right.
the
So that's
that's
kind of
the
like a
balance
juggle
that,
and balance.
Yeah, the balance that we have to have also.
Yeah. That will lead me to a question where
Yeah.
like how do you then see like I mean you're in this industry, how do
Yeah,
you see
yeah.
it, growing in the next maybe 3 to 5 years? Like what will you do?
What would I do? I mean, definitely, I would say currently what we're doing, right? So our tires, everybody cannot run away. No tires cannot drive, right? So tires, we'll continue doing that.
Okay.
As for repair work is still, I would say, still quite a good business to do. But why a lot of people shy away from it is because they don't have enough technical knowledge. A lot of the cars that come in nowadays, like the new BMs, new Mercs, all of the problems are electronic, meaning that we have to have a computer system, a diagnostic system. And when you look at those codes, you actually need to know what it means, right? And it could mean, one code could mean like 20 things. So it comes with experience
Wow.
also.
Okay.
I would say in terms of, actually this question actually leads into the whole, ICE cars are going away. Is it the era of EVs, right? People
Right.
are always asking. I'm not too sure because now we see we have a problem with EV lithium ion recycling, right? We're not sure what happens to the batteries after we're done with them, question mark. And in Singapore, I feel at least, how feasible is it to have the whole Singapore as EVs? Because that would mean that under every single block, every single parking lot has to have a charger. Who's going to pay for that? And what if we decide we don't want to go into EVs? Like Toyota wants to do hydrogen, right?
Yeah.
What if halfway through we invest all that money, like government invests all that money into chargers, and then everybody just goes, no more EV? What's gonna happen?
There's a
Yeah.
law, some kind of policy the government
Yeah.
has passed, right? What was
Yeah.
that year? I think
2030.
2030. They want to phase out all
ICE cars. Yeah. So, but you can still do hybrid. So that's still okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you can still do hybrid. Yeah. So, how does the industry look like in the 3 to 5 years? Okay. So I guess this is the question for people. Like Marc is basically asking me, is it a good business to start? Right. That's the question, right? So, is it a good business to start? Yes, if you know what you're doing. But the problem about automotive is that the barrier to entry is high because the cost is high. The setup cost is very, very high. So like if you want to do e-commerce, it's like, okay, tomorrow you get a shipment in from China and then you can start selling online. For us first, you have to secure a location. A location, you have to buy all the tools. So the tools are really, really expensive. Like your alignment machine is like 60,000 kind of thing. Like it's hundreds of thousands to just set up.
Okay.
And we're talking about workshop, okay? So that's fixing car workshop is already cheaper. The expensive one is when you do tires. Just imagine if you walk into my shop, right? Every stack of tires you see, even for me to buy it, that stack of tires is at least $500 to $1,000. Meaning that the inventory cost is so high. So it's not an easy business to enter, especially if you enter with no customer base. You'll just basically be bleeding. So I wouldn't recommend anyone to join if you're looking to make fast money.
Okay.
If you're looking, you're like, hey, I'm passionate about cars. You know, I really like cars. I know cars, I understand cars, and I don't mind doing this for the rest of my life. Which I think I'll die here also. I think I'll die here. But like, if you're okay with just doing this long term and you're passionate about it, I think yes, by all means, join us. I mean, not my company, but like join the industry, right? But other than that, it is really, really tough. Competition is fierce. Like price wars every day, right? But it is still worthwhile to do. Not easy, definitely not easy, but worthwhile to do.
So I mean, because it's so like
Yeah.
everyone kind of is providing a very homogeneous kind of service, right?
Yeah.
Has there been a difference for you, like ever since you started this journey with TikTok, with content? Now you're on all the socials, I understand.
Yeah.
Has there been a difference? Are you able to, like add more value, or are customers willing to? Do they see that value to be willing to pay a little bit more, or maybe even not pay a little bit more, but decide to go with you?
Yeah, I think so. I think it stems from my like personal philosophy of being like an honest person. Like I will not change anything that doesn't need to be changed. I won't upsell. So like if you don't need it, you don't need it. If you need it, I will tell you you need it. But if you want to change it, it's up to you. Like I don't hard sell. In my company, none of our staff upsells. So, like they upsell if you want something, but they don't hard sell anything. So I think that's a good thing because a lot of people actually are scared to walk into car workshops. At least from what my friends say.
Yes.
Oh, the uncle very fierce. Later he chopped me. That kind of like that kind of feeling, right? Because firstly there are no price tags. So everything is like you walk in, it's like they see your face. So there are some shops, right? They will see your face. You look rich, you look poor. The price will change accordingly, right? So I don't do that. Everything that I have has price. Like my prices are marked.
Okay.
Mostly where I can, my prices are marked, right? And I would say that people do trust us in a sense because they see my presence, and personally because I'm very obsessive about doing the right thing in the right way. Certain small things that people don't realize, right, is when you change a tire, there are a lot of considerations. Like, let me just run you really briefly through it. It's just because I'm a nerd, I love to talk about it, but
Sure.
really briefly through a tire change and the places where it can go wrong. Okay, firstly, taking out the nuts, right? So like taking out the tire from the car. If you take it out, you can already feel if a certain screw is already having a problem. You can already feel it from there. Okay, so you take it out.
Okay.
Next, you release the air. You look at the tire, make sure that it has the tire pressure monitoring system.
Right.
And then when you fit the tire, you have to fit it in a different way to not damage it. And if it has a normal valve, you must always remember to change it because that rubber degrades over time and it can leak. So yeah, so that's all. It's just all like the hidden stuff that you never know.
Wow.
After that, when you change the
Okay.
tire, it's like, okay, the inside and outside of the tire, you need to see like, okay, which part of the tire is lighter and which part of the tire is heavier. I need to align it to where the valve is. And then after, so there's so many things. Then whether people balance the tires or not, after you pop the tire, you fill it with air, you follow the air pressure that's on the car. and then after you put it on the balancing machine, and you have to scrape off the old weight. Some people just don't. They just like fit the tire pump the end. No, you need to balance.
Weights are those little metal pieces that sit in the rim.
So there's so many things that you actually need to look out for that I sometimes do see lah. Some people don't do it because like I see some rims, right, they got different color weights on it. So I know that some people, right, they lazy scrape off, they just add. Yeah. So yeah. So there's so many things, right? And because I think some of my clients or my supporters, they know that I do it properly. So they don't mind, like, you know, they pay that little bit extra.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, we are a little bit more expensive. But actually, right, I would say it's not. I want to clarify to everyone, I'm not expensive because I want to eat everybody's money. I'm expensive because I'm not rich enough to import stocks myself. So I don't have the economies of scale to be able to lower my cost. My cost is very high. So like relative when you go to those like bigger tire shops, right, older tire shops, their supply chain is very, very good. So the pricing that they get from the suppliers is very low. But I get high price because I'm small.
Okay, so that's a economies of scale kind of
correct. So
thing that we gotta deal with.
So when people say like, oh, Cordy, you charge more, I'm like, it's not that I'm earning more. Actually, sometimes I'm earning less than them, but it's just that I'm small, so that's why it's that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but I think one thing earlier on you mentioned, I think when it comes to car workshops, the common, like even my own fear when I go to a car workshop, right? I mean, I have driven since I was I don't know, maybe in my early 20s, more than 10 years. I don't enjoy going to a workshop. Nobody enjoys going to the workshop, right? Not because the car has broken down or anything, but you just have this innate fear that you don't know how much it will cost. That's one. Second is you don't know the level of service. Like, do they really know their stuff? Like, are they doing something correctly or wrong? Because I don't know all these things, right? Yeah, we kind of just use the car. I think definitely the trust with like the assurance that you get, like when I submit my car review, right? I don't have to. Because I see you doing all these educational videos, it kind of sends a message to me that she probably knows what she's doing. Yeah. Even though I might not really watch through every single video, it does give me as a customer like some level of trust and belief in like you know what you do. I just leave it to you. And of course, I think the other part is honesty as well, like integrity, right? You don't upsell. You just I remember you told me before, like when I say I want to change something, you say it's okay. It's not yet time. You can just drive it for another like 6 months or something. I think it was brake pads or something.
Yeah.
So I think those are important things, especially when you're running a very what's this word? Like it's like a business in the not shadows, but you know you don't you're unable to just Google some of these things. It's quite hard. Even if you want to learn, like you say, you have to read this huge textbook. You know, understand went to Ngee for like what 7 different mini courses, right? I always find this industry. I always feel that it requires so high level of skill set, but like you mentioned, maybe the remuneration or the way that we are able to remunerate the team, right, or the staff seems to be lacking somewhere. Like, this is probably quite a deep question. Like, is there like where do you want to bring Pitstop to? Like,
where do I bring Pitstop?
Yeah, like what's is there a big goal? Like, is there a big dream or something? Where's it going? Yeah.
Actually, for me, right, this is actually more like a personal question than a business question. So.
Yes.
I mean, if I really wanted the big bucks, I would have stayed in corporate, right? Not really. If I was only money focused, right? If I really wanted to be like a multi-billionaire or like a billionaire, whatever, I wouldn't do this, right? But now that I'm in it, I would say that, right, why I started talking about money first is because when I started, I had none of it, right? I had no money. It was the biggest problem on my mind. It was on my mind all the time because the banks were everybody was calling, right? So when I first started, I thought that my goal was money. I thought. And I worked so hard, like really, like I was working like 15 hours a day, kind of like I was dying, like I almost got hospitalized, like I had pneumonia. I thought money was the ultimate goal because I was having so many problems because of it. But as I worked and worked and worked and worked, like half my life, like I wanted to die, like really just, I was mentally so tired. I suddenly realized, it's like people always say, the pursuit of happiness. People keep saying that happiness is the end goal, but it actually should be the process. Because if you're not happy all the way until you so-called get happiness, then what's the point? So at a certain point, right, I suddenly asked myself, hey, you know what, Cordy? If you died tomorrow, would you be happy? And I thought to myself, if I died tomorrow, I would be so upset because I just threw my life at this, not caring about my friends, my health, my family, everything I threw away just for money, I think that was a very, very dumb goal to have. Now that I look back, I mean, if you asked me this question 2 years ago, maybe the answer is different. But where I see Pitstop, right? Because last time, you see it as a business to some people is a money-making machine. I mean, yes, to a certain extent, yes, right? Everybody has to survive. But now, right, what I see Pitstop as is a place for myself and my people, my staff, to be able to live the life that they want, right? So money should always be a means to an end. It should never be the end. What I want Pitstop to be able to do is that we become so successful that everybody, myself included, my staff included, my marketing, my mechanics, everything, all of us get so comfortable that we can do whatever we want. You want to go take a holiday, you want to go to eat sushi, you want to whatever, right? I want Pitstop to be a place, a company that everybody is able to live a happy life because of it. It sounds like a bit of like a fluffy goal in a sense, but I don't think so, because that comes with a lot of prerequisites, right? So the prerequisite for that to be able to happen is first that the company becomes very successful. So you need a very healthy company that's making a lot of money for me to be able to share that with all of my staff, right? So I'm quite like, if my boys all know, my girls, boys all know. Actually, our ratio is quite funny. Our ratio is a 5 boys to 4 girls. So that's actually quite equal, right? So my staff all know that if the company is doing well, all of them get a cut. So all of them will get fat bonuses if the company is doing well.
Okay.
So that's something I'm quite happy about. And I realized actually at a certain point, when you ask me, what's the angle of Pitstop? Is it become like a mega ginormous company? Actually, it's not. I think at a certain point, I went like, hey, I don't need to build a company that's 100 people. As long as I have a company that, let's say, has 20 people, we are all satisfied, we are all happy. There's no need to push it towards IPO. There's no need to go public. There's no need to take investment money. We just be satisfied, we be comfortable, and then we provide the best service for our customers. So all our customers be raving about us, right? So my ultimate goal, my mediocre middle goal now is to buy the automatic tire changer machine that's like something like $60,000. Yeah.
Okay.
So what I want to make Pitstop is become this specialist shop where everything's the best. So you walk in, my tools are the best German tools, best aligner, best tire machines, everything. You have that peace of mind when you walk in. Hey, this is the best shop. It doesn't have to be a big shop. It just has to be the best shop, right? And then everybody working there is happy. I'm happy, you're happy, customers happy, staff is happy. Yeah, that's my goal. A bit of a fluffy goal, right, I think. But yeah, that's my goal. I don't want to be like, wee, no. Just happy and small is my goal. Yeah.
No, I think that's because I think a lot of business owners, I mean, if you're watching this, right, whether you are someone that's aspiring to start a business or you're already running one, like a new business startup, a lot of us, yes, the revenue is important, especially at the start. Especially when you start, like for Cordelia, I think she started in a negative state, right? Definitely revenue is the number one goal. But I think over time, as we grow the business kind of stabilizes a little bit. I think time is the other thing. Like you talked about all these things, right? You didn't have time, you were like on the verge of, all these things that were coming out, the symptoms, falling ill and all that. Yeah, I think it's very real. I mean, personally, I've been through that as well. And we realized, what is that? Sometimes I ask myself also, what is that bigger goal? Yeah. Even like doing this show, right? It's sometimes the team also asks me, like, I think I have a very awesome team. Like behind all these cameras, they are, helping me with the setup and all that. Like why I wanted to do this, I share with them is to, sometimes as entrepreneurs, we want to listen to the other person's story, right? Share that story in the hopes that the people who are our audiences get to learn something and take away something. Like we hope that, with whatever we have shared today, it helps you either avoid certain pitfalls or you can take away some level of nuggets. Whether you're going to start a car business or not, I don't know, automotive, right? Or in other industries, I think like sharing all this journey, right? Like hearing from you, even though I've known you since 2021, I think, from a client / sometimes I'll text you about stuff as well, right? It's such a journey to see you grow the company, grow your team as well. Your team is always very welcoming when I go there, no matter it's what. It's not just all about the money. You mentioned one word like process, the process of getting there or the journey to get there. It has to be a happy one as well. Yeah, it's not just about that angle. The angle is just, in fact, I don't know whether there's an angle or not. You know, sometimes it's just along the way, you would be doing things, you'll be spending time with your friends, family. Like I have a 4-year-old daughter. I want to spend time with her as well. I don't want to miss those times. Like it's also a struggle, but at the same time, I think we also have our own goals. Like for you, I think you want to grow Pitstop to this top notch, right? Like you have all the best tools, best knowledge, best the skilled people, right? Yeah, and I think it's definitely a very noble goal, right? It's not to be big, but I think the quality is also important. Yeah. Maybe just one last question.
Okay.
Yeah, like what is your goal for this year? Like just like since we just started 2025, we're just coming to the end of first quarter. Yeah. Do you have a specific goal for yourself? Whether it's for the business, for yourself personally? Yeah.
I have many goals actually.
Okay.
I mean, you asked.
What's if you had to select one, right? Like if you maybe, because I like to ask this question. Like recently, I've been telling my team, right? Sometimes it's about what is the number one.
The number. Okay.
That means if you didn't achieve this year, right? This year would not have been such a good year.
Okay, so I'm gonna pick this goal, right? So my number one goal, actually, this has been a goal for many years, but I was never able to achieve it. And hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll be able to get it done this year. So I will tell the goal and then the rationale behind it. So my goal is to be able to bring my ama on an all expenses paid holiday to wherever she wants. When I was young, I grew up with my ama. So my ama brought me up because my parents were overseas.
Right. So for our audience who are not in Singapore, don't understand the
sorry,
language.
yeah.
So this is a grandma.
My grandmother, yes.
Cordy's
So
grandmother, yeah.
My number one goal is to bring my grandmother overseas on a trip, right? Because I actually did promise her a few times before that I would want to do that. And when I was having my corporate job, I would have been able to do that easily. I just take leave and go. Suddenly, when I changed jobs, I realized that I didn't have the time at all. Like even being here for this podcast, my phone is like ringing nonstop. Like my company is still at a stage where it's so small that it cannot operate without me properly, which is something that I'm trying to work on, but it's not so easy. So I've been wanting to do this for so long, and you know, there's this saying, right? You can always earn another dollar, but you can never buy another minute, right? So if I miss out this goal and I never get to do it, I will be extremely, extremely upset with myself because time is finite, right? Money is whatever, right? You can always earn more money. But if I miss this, I will be very, very upset. And this is something that I feel like I've been so grateful to her all this while for bringing me up. And I mean, now that her legs are not so good anymore, I want to do this before, you know, her legs get any worse. Then we won't be able to like go overseas properly.
Right.
But I realized that over the past few years where I had to focus so much on money, that I just worked and I worked myself to death, right? But I had no time. I didn't even visit her. I didn't call her. I didn't go out with her at all. So now I've made it a point, like, you know, every week I bring her, go like grocery shopping. I go to her house. I visit everything, because I realized that at the end of the day, no matter how much money you earn, if you don't have your family, then why do you earn so much for what, right?
Yeah.
So that's my number one goal, and of course, if I manage to achieve that number one goal, that would also mean that I now am able to come out of the company. So that's good. Me and the company is doing well. Number two, because I really, really want to treat her on like business class, right? Because like my grandma has never sat on, neither have I lah. So none of us have ever sat on business class, right? I want to do like a really fancy bougie trip for my grandma. Like, yeah, so number one goal is, so that means that company's doing well, I have money, and we can go on a hee hee ha ha trip together. Yeah,
Okay.
so that's the goal. Yeah, for this year.
Yeah, that sounds like, although the goal seems simple, like to bring your grandma or your ama on a trip, but I think with that, you also mentioned, like, you need to set up the systems in place so that you can be absent from the company for I don't know, a week or
Like
2
a
weeks.
week, yeah.
I would like to wish you all the best. I think you have really changed, like, how the automotive industry is like. I mean, with all your videos, your sharing.
So this is another thing, like to I would say other fellow entrepreneurs. Don't be so hard on yourself, right? Like, if you can't do it, if you wanna die, just don't. Like, you know that it's good for the business, yes. But if you die first, what's the point? So like,
Right.
just
Yeah.
breathe. Yeah.
I think Yeah, I think one note on this is like, I think whatever we do, I think we also need to think about it in terms of sustainability. Like,
Yeah.
we can do this for a short burst. Yes, we are bringing some extra dollars,
Yeah.
but how long can we do this? That's I think also
Correct.
important. I learned a lot from your content, like from tire sizes, how to read the the what is that, the letterings that are on it, the fonts, to how to assess different things on the cars. Yeah, so I think if anyone who really wants to skill up your automotive experience, you should, or education, get educated on it. You should check out Pitstop
Tyres.
Tires.
Pitstop Tyres.
So the handle is Pitstop Tires.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
We can link it down below. No
yeah,
worries.
yeah. I think
Okay.
so, yeah.
Right. So thank you so much, Cordy.
Okay,
Right.
thanks, Marc.
Thank you.
Thanks.